that. And what is going to be the very first thing that I need to do? Somebody at table, you guys can decide between the two of you, table 6. What's the first thing I need to do?
Subtract 6 from 10.
Why do I need to subtract first? Because I thought I need to do like multiplying and all that first. Because it's in parentheses, exactly. So now, I know that, because I've been teaching this for so long, kids do not like doing what I'm getting ready to do. I literally show each and every step in between. Because it's really, like, is this hard math? No, but it's very easy to make a mistake if you're not kind of paying attention to what you're doing. So I go through.
How do you know that it's not distributive property and that it's
Ooh,
I just got confused by that.
How do you know that it's distributive property and not PEMDAS? Actually, the real answer to that, Bailey, is that you could have done distributive property. Like that's a great question. And as long as you did so what she's saying, that's an excellent question. If you had gone through, and let's say you did decide to do, obviously it'd be 50 minus 30. If you go through and do the correct order of operations, you'll still get exactly the same answer. So really there is no difference. It's just like adding. It's just like a negative and subtraction. It means the same thing as long as you do it in the correct order. So if you like distributive, go for it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and stick with this way, but nothing wrong. If you want to go ahead and do distributive, great. Okay, now, this is why, no offense to dear Aunt Sally, sometimes she's not my favorite. Because if you look at please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, it makes it look like you have to multiply before you divide every single time because the M comes first. But what's the actual rule? I know Bailey.
First from left to right.
Exactly. Whatever. That's why, thank goodness, some 6th grade teachers in their little songs and dances have started doing like a left to right motion or something like that. Because it's true. The multiplication and division is like a set. Okay, so that means we need to do the 4 divided by 2 first. Again, I go through and I rewrite every step. I know a lot of you guys think that's doing too much. And then I'm going to multiply my 5 times 4, because that would be my next step. And last but not least, we add. So if you did that correctly, we should have ended up with 22. So pretty basic. That's why we're not spending a lot of time on this. Example number 2, we're going to kick it up a little bit of a notch. By doing, we're going to do we're going to throw in here some brackets. And an exponent. Now we know parentheses comes first. This is why a lot of teachers have changed it to get GEMDAS instead of PEMDAS, because PEMDAS implies the parentheses only and that you don't do anything with those brackets. So that's why some teachers have changed it to grouping symbols so that you know it applies to both of them. So I've got 2 sets of parentheses basically. I got a little set and I got a big set. How do you decide which one comes first? Which one do I deal with first? Do you remember, Ella? Which one?
Since it has an exponent over it, on the parentheses one, you do the parentheses first, and the exponent comes before.
I agree with you that you do the 2 plus 3 first, but not necessarily because of the exponent. I totally agree with you about about doing that one first, though. Do we remember why? It's okay if we don't. That's why we're doing one, to make sure we remember. You work from the inside out. So you deal with the ones that are inside the brackets first, then we're going to go and deal with the brackets. So I'm going to do 2 plus 3. Again, I know y'all don't like rewriting every step, but man, it really helps prevent mistakes. I can tell you that right now. So I did the 2 plus 3 first. And now I need to apply the exponent to the 5. and then deal with the whole, because the whole 32 minus 5 squared. Inside of the parentheses, you also have to follow order of operations. So inside of those parentheses, you've got subtraction, and you've got an exponent. Well, obviously, please excuse, E for exponent comes before subtraction. So we got to do that exponent first. So if I rewrite it, I got it there. And then Bailey, to your question, if you wanted to go ahead and distribute here, you could. There's no reason you couldn't. Personally, I would go ahead and subtract just because it means I'd be multiplying smaller numbers. But if you want to do 6 times 32 and 6 times 25 and then subtract those two numbers, you could. And you would get the same answer. Again, I like just doing with kind of simple stuff. So I'm going to do the bracket next. And then, of course, the 6 sitting next to the 7 means multiply. So you should end up with 42. Okay, last but not least, example number 3. And then we're going to call it a day as far as walking through these. We're going to do a little fraction bar. This is one that sometimes they don't cover in middle school. Do we know how we need to handle that? Like we've got adding, we've got a fraction bar, we kind of have a lot of stuff going on. Do I somehow need to like do the exponent because the exponent comes first and then somehow do this division since division comes before adding? How does it work when you throw a fraction in there? You got an idea? What do we do? What do you think we do? I'll go ahead and take you. Everybody else is being too quiet. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'm guessing because you would do the thing and turn the 2/3 into the exponent into the actual answer, and then maybe you would do 2/3 over 15 plus 5/9.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good guess because that's what you would think because division comes first, right? Okay, this is where they get you. That is not actually what they do, okay? What they should do, you're getting ready to tell me, aren't you? What?
You do the third plus 5 and then 15 plus 9 and then you divide it.
Yes, ma'am. It's really not fair. What they should do when they do a problem like this, guys, they should put parentheses around it, but they don't, okay? You need to treat it like it does have parentheses around it. You need to do everything in the top, or the numerator, I'm really bad about that, and then do everything in the denominator, and then you do the division at the end. So make sure that you remember that. I guarantee you'll see one of these tomorrow. So treat like it has parentheses, because even though it's not written that way, that is their intention for you to do it. Don't try. It makes sense because we've been drilling that order in your head forever. Ooh, I'll do the stuff and then I'll divide. There's a good reason for you to think that. Not how it works. So you do everything in the top first and then the bottom and divide. So in this case, that means I do 2 to the third. 2 to the third is not 6. We remember that, right? What's actual 2 to the third? 2 times 2 times 2. Exactly. So we got 8 plus 5 in the numerator. So 8 plus 5, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a 12. 13. And then 15 plus 9 is 24. Can you simplify that fraction in any way? No. If you get to this point tomorrow, where you do have like a fraction that is simplified already, you can leave it as a fraction. In Algebra 1 class, we use fractions a lot for slope. Most of the time, it's not very useful for you to do the extra step and divide. Normally, you want to have a numerator and a denominator. So don't try to do the extra step and divide if it turns out to not be a whole number. Now, if it does turn out to be a whole number, like let's say that had been 48 over 24, then you do need to simplify it to a 2. But if it turns out to be a fraction, you can just leave it as a fraction. All right? So here is our game plan. I'm going to tell you the practice problems that you're going to do. Can I have that little list of numbers I gave you, problem numbers? Or I told you which one's out of the book. It was on a Post-it note. Did you crumple it up? All right. So I am going to put the homework answers for you up there. But for those of you who aren't going to ask any questions again, thank you. Okay, you're gonna do some order of operations practice in the book. And we're going to page 12. These are, I've handpicked a certain number of problems that are exactly like the ones that'll be on your quiz tomorrow. So if you can do these, you're gonna be okay. So this is your classwork. The other teacher, don't tell the other teachers I told you that this is okay. If you very lightly circle the problem numbers in your book, I'm okay with that, but you gotta know that you're gonna have to be responsible for going back and erasing them later. Because they will charge you, so if you don't want to have to worry about going back and erasing stuff in the book, just write these problems down. So page 12, 7, 8, and 9, and then 24 through 29. This is order of operations practice. If you can do these, you'll be just fine on the couple that are on your quiz tomorrow. Let me give you a second to make sure you've got that. Everybody got that written down? Okay, because I'm going to go ahead and put your homework answer key up. This is what we're going to do. I'm just going to put those answers up there for your homework. If you've got questions, rather than doing it as a whole group, there's 3 of us that can answer individual questions for you. So we will just do it that way. So once you're done checking your homework, if you have a question, ask one of the 3 of us. If you don't have any questions, then you can just work on your classwork. Keep your homework out, though. I got distracted for a second. I didn't give you credit for actually doing your homework. So I need to come around and do that. Okay, so if you get done checking, don't put it away yet until I would to make sure that you got the answer, right? Because you're gonna have to do questions. That's the whole point. So you know whether or not you know how to do it for tomorrow. I'm gonna put the key up here for you. And again.